in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Say, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet each day.
Well, broadcasting live from the Tunes 92.5 104.5 studio, it is the People in Your Neighborhood podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Keegan. Our second episode, this one entitled The Scoutmaster. We're going to talk to Boy Scout leader Jay Madison about girls being in the Boy Scouts. Ooh, touchy subject there. Al Roker, the NBC weatherman, talking to us from an interview earlier this week about his brand new book. And musical guest Quince doing a little rap for us. He's a really cool cat. So, second podcast. I'm so impressed with the first podcast. We had over 500 listens on our SoundCloud account. Now I am working on things on getting it on iTunes and YouTube, wherever you can hear a podcast. I'm working on that. It's a busy guy here with working at the radio station and then, of course, with the Keegan & Company DJ services, which is so big, and I'm so blessed and so grateful. I am booking up so fast for 2018. Do have a couple Christmas parties open. The first week of December actually is the only weekend I have for Christmas parties. I'm booked solid for every Friday and Saturday except the first weekend in December. So hit me up on the Facebook or johnnykeegan@yahoo.com. And hit me up on that Facebook or johnnykeegan@yahoo.com to advertise on this podcast. It's real cheap. I'm talking $5, baby. $5. And I mean, for the first podcast, over 500 listeners, I think that's pretty darn cool. So we do have, things are good. We do have our first client, actually, who is advertising on the People in Your Neighborhood podcast, and that is Salon 109. They're opening November 1st for business. Whether you need an updated haircut, cover up those gray hairs, or freshen up your highlights, they've got you covered. Guys, they aren't leaving you out either. Stop by, get a fresh haircut and beard trim. Salon 109 also offers facials, and we customize for your skin type. If you're tired of shaving, we offer a wide variety of waxing from your eyebrows done to the toes and everything in between. Okay, they're located at 109 Water Street in Dexter, right next to Willie's too, and call them at 315-918-4050 for your appointment. Of course, walk-ins are welcome. Take a better selfie, see a stylist. Call Janet and Megan today. They're our first sponsor. Yay! For the People in Your Neighborhood, Salon 109. If I had hair, I'd be checking them out. What a week it's been with the passing of Gord Downey of the Tragically Hip. I am, like a lot of you, a Tragically Hip nut. I've seen him 7 times. I have probably had 3 CDs of Fully Completely. It's kind of hard to wear out a CD, but I have managed. Fully Completely is my favorite. Give me the title track of that anytime. Oh, still on my car iPod as we speak, the Tragically Hip. We saw this coming, we just didn't know when, and things haven't been talked about in quite a while about Gordon, and it kind of slips on the back burner. But when we heard that news, it certainly hit you like a hammer. They brought, cancer is no joke, and he fought, I'm sure, an incredible fight, but he knew right away that it was inoperable, and when they played that last show in Kingston, it was a farewell. So sad. I met him twice. I met him once in Toronto for a 3-day music festival called the Eden Fest. It was like a mini Woodstock. Who was there? Like Bush and The Cure and Porno for Pyros, 7 Mary 3, Spin Doctors, and of course, headlined by the Tragically Hip, and put on a hell of a good show. We met him there briefly, and I met him at the Landmark in Syracuse, again, briefly. And I never know what to say to rock stars. Even though I play their music, I'm just, big fan. So nice to meet you. Love the new record. And then you move along like cattle. So that's why actually meeting people is no big deal to me. I'd rather meet you than a rock star, because when you meet a rock star, you have to wait backstage for like 2 hours, and again, you get like 3 seconds, and anything you ask them, they've heard a million times before, but it's just what they have to do. So he's certainly going to be missed. Thanks to Garrett Dombrowski of 7 News. He stopped in the Tune Studio and interviewed me about the Tragically Hip, and I posted a picture on my Facebook. I think it's still there. On my profile pic of meeting Gord, and a beautiful, sweet-looking mullet I had. God, I miss that. If I could have hair and have a mullet, I'd still have a mullet, just because, you don't know what you got till it's gone. Is Papatino's Pizza one of the best pizzas in our area? Oh, my God, we got it last night. I swear to you, and I might have to put this to a test, we have some fine pizzerias in Jefferson County. I bet you, whether it be Cam's or Bernardo's or Paisano's or Papatino's, I could probably eat a whole large pizza myself. It's not right. And I walk 6 miles a day or more. It's not right. I'm never full when eating pizza. I read it somewhere that pizza is more addictive than crack. It certainly is in my book. I never met a pizza I didn't like. It's like sex. It might be bad, but you're still having sex. It's the same thing with pizza. So I think that's my week in a nutshell. This weekend is Pumpkin Chunkin' in Clayton. I'm going to go check that out and meet with a buddy on Sunday. And hopefully have you listen to this podcast. Thanks for checking us out. Let's talk to the Scoutmaster. That's what this podcast is called, People in Your Neighborhood. Let's talk to Jay Madison. From the Tunes 92.5, 104.5 studio, welcome to the second episode of People in Your Neighborhood. Over 450 hits on the first episode. I think that's pretty darn good. I'm feeling good about that, so hopefully more on the second one. We're going to have musical guest Quince come in later on and play us a tune. Al Roker is coming. Well, he's calling us in. The weather guy from the Today Show is calling us on People in Your Neighborhood. I think that is a groovy thing. I am really pleased. This episode's called The Scoutmaster because we are going to talk about scouts. It's an important part of my life. And in the Tune studio for our little podcast is Jay Madison, personal friend of mine. I've known you for about maybe 5 to 10 years, something in between that. So we'll call it 7.5.
Probably longer than that.
7.5.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
I met you with you were doing the Farm Report or something, weren't you, with Mike White? That's where I met you.
The Homegrown Show. Back when Mike and I first started.
And you're still doing that, though, right?
Yep. 15 years later.
And what do you guys do? You just talk about farming issues, or?
We talk about everything. You know, it focuses on agriculture, but it's a great show. It talks about agriculture, all the things going on in agriculture, but it's geared for the public, not just for farmers. You know, we're not talking about what pork bellies are going for today.
Well, one of my guests, I have a farm friend who I'm going to have in on the podcast and talk about farming issues.
Cool.
Such a great dude, and you'll know him too when I talk about him off the air. So we're talking about Boy Scouts today. You came in earlier to the Tune studio and talked about the Boy Scouts, and of course you are a chairman of Boy Scout Troop 586. What's the difference between a chairman and a scout leader?
Really, I'm in charge of the whole unit. I make sure everything's going good on the administrative side, and I also help the Scoutmaster, who's normally considered to be the leader of the troop. I help the Scoutmaster make sure things are going well on the scout side of things. So.
Now, I know, I'm always referring to back in the day of my life in the 80s.
Well, that's cool.
It was back in the day when I was a scout in the early 80s, and it was a big part of my life. I did learn a lot of life lessons in that, and I still hold them today.
Excellent.
Towards the end, it wasn't much fun for me because times were changing, and I was changing.
And that happens.
Things were happening. Voices were changing. But it got kind of, it was the same thing every week. I think we just had...
that's unfortunate. That happens when you get a unit that gets a little stale.
Yeah, we were in a rut, and it was not tying.
Yeah.
And it was not tying, and I still can't tie a knot.
If I was in a scout unit where they did not tying every week, I wouldn't be there for long either.
But you said the troop that I was in doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately. And I can't say why because I don't know. But yeah, they don't exist anymore.
And potluck dinners. Do you still have potluck dinners?
Only for like court of honor sometimes,
It was a potluck dinner. Yeah, it'd be like 3 macaroni salads.
Oh, God.
It wasn't good.
No.
It wasn't good, but it's changed so much.
It has.
Now, my question to you before, we have a lot of issues we want to talk about here
Sure.
on our podcast, People in Your Neighborhood, but how has scouting changed in 30 years from when I was a kid and it was not tying and Camp Portaferry once a year?
Well, it's scouting's full of traditions. So I don't want to freak people out and say, oh, it's completely different, because it's not. There's a lot of tradition that's been carried on. But as far as what's different, number one, there are programs now that include girls already, besides what's just happened.
Which we're going to talk
about. We're incorporating more technology. There's a focus on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math in a lot of our programs. Leadership, still one of the foremost leadership training programs for young men in the world. What else? We have, unfortunately, Portaferry doesn't exist, but we have a great scout reservation up in the middle of the Adirondacks called Sabatis, which is fantastic.
Whereabouts is that?
Lowe's Lake. You go to Tupper Lake, and then you go out of Tupper Lake, and you go 17 miles down this one-lane dirt road out to where the bears live. Literally, black bears all over the place. Don't leave your food out. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
It's a blast. And so we've got that. We've got that scout reservation. Jeepers, I don't know what to tell you.
Are
John.
merit badges still a thing?
Oh yeah. Merit badges. That's one of the tenets of scouting. Is Robert Baden-Powell, the founder of scouting, believed that one of the key things that we needed to do is have an advancement, some program that measured a young man's progression towards Eagle Scout being the highest rank.
Yeah.
So merit badges are part of that way that, number one, we learn. Like I'm a merit badge instructor for Citizen of the Nation. The kids that take that merit badge learn all about how our U.S. government works. I wished every kid would take that merit badge. I won't go any farther than that these days.
Well, you kind of had to do it yourself back in my day. You had to learn about it and find somebody.
Well, so you would call me if you were a scout and you wanted to do Citizen of the Nation. You'd call me up and say, "Hey, Mr. Madison, I want to do Citizen of the Nation," and then I'd work with you. I'd help you learn all those things, check off how you're doing, and then that counted towards your advancement in rank. Now, I'm simplifying some of the things for our listeners that aren't familiar with scouting at all, but it's one of the merit badges that's required towards Eagle Scout. Eagle Scout being that highest rank.
Right. What's before that? The Heart and Star?
Heart is Life Scout.
That still
Life
exists.
Scout.
Okay.
Yep. That's where my son is right now. He's a Life Scout working on his Eagle.
Do they still have the merit badge for basket weaving?
Yes, they do.
Have you ever given that merit badge away?
I am not a basket weaving merit badge instructor. Let's just put it that way. But it is out there, and it is one of those elective ones. That
you could be stuck on a desert island, and you would need to make a fish basket, and you'd be all right.
Yes.
Well, the big thing I wanted to have you in here is everybody is
Absolutely.
up in arms, and people are debating on Facebook and their Twitter and Craigslist and a bunch of BS going on.
Yep.
And as I said earlier on, you really opened my eyes about this because you were on 7 News. I don't know who the reporter who interviewed you with or anything, but I was like, Boy Scouts are boys. Can they leave a thing alone and let the boys be boys? Girl Scouts have their thing. Boys aren't joining Girl Scouts.
Right.
But you put it in perspective. If girls are allowed to join the Boy Scouts, which they will be in a year, starting with Cub Scouts, as you said, it gets kids off the couch. It gets them out of playing Mario Brothers or whatever the game is. It gets the cell phones out of their hands.
Johnny, part of me is right there with you with that feeling of, let's keep the program available for boys. There's a part of me, having come through this for 11 years now with my son, there's a part of me that still wants it to remain all boys. But at the same time, for 6 years, I was a Cub Master for a Cub Scout pack. Had 50 scouts in my pack. I would have girls coming to me all the time, and because Cub Scouts is family, it's all about family involvement. These girls were always there, and they'd be saying, "Mr. Madison, I want to join Cub Scouts. I want to be a Cub Scout." And I'd have to tell them, you can't do it.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm sitting there saying, what a great program this is. Why don't we offer it to girls?
Was there a vote, or it's just a decision made by higher ups?
They actually did a lot of outreach. I got one of the surveys that they took nationwide on what parents felt about this. And overwhelmingly, parents said, yes, this makes sense. Now, I like what National did with this. I was really nervous. They could have done it a lot of different ways that I think would have been a disaster. I think the way they are structuring this makes sense. Okay, Cub Scout pack, that's the young kids, right? Cub Scout packs are made of dens of usually 6 to 8 kids, and then a couple different dens form the pack. What National has said, Boy Scouts of America National, next year they will allow Cub Scout packs to form dens of all girls. There will be all boy dens and all girl dens. So they can combine at the pack level and be co-ed, or they can have a totally separate pack. So yes, there will be girls involved in Cub Scouting, but they will be in a different den. So that still allows the boys to have their den and the girls to have their den. Everybody gets to participate in an excellent youth program. And that, like I said during that interview, is what really matters to me.
Are you going to change up your curriculum to cater to girls? Are you going to still keep up with keep doing the soapbox derbies or the the pinewood.
The girls that I saw personally liked the program as it is.
Okay.
And I don't know of anything there that you would change. There's nothing that's directed just at a boy that a girl.
We did ceramics when I was a Cub Scout.
Yeah, I mean,
there I did. I like ceramics.
There is a pottery merit badge. So there are things that, and I don't want to be stereotypical here, so I'm not going to go too far because I don't want some lady yelling at me for saying the wrong thing here. But there are parts of Cub Scouting and Boy Scouting that might appeal to some ladies that wouldn't appeal to others. But there's nothing that Cub Scouts or even Boy Scouts that I can think of, any of part of our program that in the end you couldn't apply to both sexes. It all depends upon their preference. Some people get all bent out of shape and stuff saying, oh, well, girls should be doing Girl Scouts and boys should be doing Boy Scouts and so on and so forth. In the end, Boy Scouts of America has, in my experience, and I've been involved with a lot of youth leadership programs, in the end, Boy Scouts of America offers one of the best leadership and character development programs that I've ever witnessed. And if we can offer that program to any youth, regardless of sex, regardless of orientation, ignore all of that. We're talking about youth.
People. Yeah.
So if we can help a person become better through our program by their choice, why not offer it?
There you go. Are most Scoutmasters for this? I mean, is there anybody like, I'm not going to do this, I quit? Have you heard
it? To be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if that does happen out there. Again, it goes, even there's a part of me that says, boy, I really don't want this to become boys and girls. And there's probably people out there that feel much more strongly about that and are going to drop out. But there's also a lot of people out there who are saying this is a damn good thing and make it happen. And so,
yeah, you changed my mind. I was, and that's hard to do, but I mean, just one simple sentence you said, if it gets kids off the couch,
exactly.
If it gets the video game controller out of their hand, then what the hey?
Yeah, I mean, who's it hurting in the end?
What do you guys have changed in the last 30 years? I mean, you and I have talked about it. When I was a kid, it wasn't that fun. We were tying knots forever, which we talked about. Yeah. Selling things out of a cardboard suitcase named Tom Watt.
We don't sell
it was horrible.
Watt suitcase things anymore. Yeah, no.
And you would do all that just for that 1 week at Camp Portaferry.
Yeah.
And it all kind of like, okay.
All right, well, it all depends. It's up to a unit, okay? Unit leadership is the key, both scouts and adults, but especially adults. If adults are stuck in the mud and they only do one thing all the time, every year, the same way, exactly what you're sharing with me is going to happen to that unit. Our leadership programs, our training programs are getting better. We're constantly emphasizing, do things differently, look for those different opportunities so that you keep the interest of the youth. That's so critical.
And with today's world, as you said, you're doing technology and teaching them about the workforce and everything. We did tying knots and we learned the alphabet and sign language.
See,
that's pretty much I can remember.
In our troop, we have not done knot tying. Jeepers, I don't think we've done it in 6-8 months at least.
And it's a skill that it's a great skill if you can do that.
I'm not knocking it because there are parts of the program that require your knowledge to do certain knots.
Yeah.
Because they play an important role in outdoor activities. But knot tying every week, if you're doing knot tying every week,
nobody's going to stick around for that.
Yeah.
I don't even think our troop, troop doesn't even exist anymore. Does it? But probably.
Well, right. This
people got knotted out.
This week, the month of October, my Boy Scout troop is learning about carpentry, and the Scouts are in the process of building what's called a Gaga pit. It's an Israeli sport. It's an octagonal structure, open structure with walls. but the top's open so you can step in and out. And it's got this small ball, sort of like a handball. And it's like playing dodgeball, except you do it at your feet. Oh my God, the Gaga pits at scout camps, there will be 50 kids in it playing it, and they'll play it all day long if you let them. So anyways, we're in the process of building it, so we're learning some great carpentry skills, and it's something the scouts wanted to do.
Do you have to go through a big physical or a check, a mental check, and criminal check, and all that kind of stuff to be a leader?
Yeah, well, we have to go through a background check.
Yeah.
Every time you apply to be a leader, you have to go through a background check that our council does. And you also, every 2 years, you have to go through youth protection training. And I'm required to report you. If I see abuse, I have to report you, whether you're a scout leader or not. I'm required to turn you in. So, you know, do things happen? There's bad apples in every pot.
Sure.
And we are constantly on guard looking for bad apples. But the background checks, the youth protection training, you know, we do a lot. I mean, I probably spend, not every scout leader will do this, but I probably spend 60 hours a year in training.
Wow.
And
with all your other hobby jobs that you have, you're a busy guy.
It keeps you busy.
Could this happen now? And a bad memory of mine of scouting was Camp Portaferry. They woke up, me and another kid just decided that week we weren't going to do a darn thing. We weren't going to study for merit badges. We'd go swimming and maybe shoot the rifles or whatever. And that was about it. And so we goofed off.
Right.
And they woke us up at midnight and basically made us do army drills. We'd have to run
No,
exercise, and that was hell.
Absolutely
that was not right.
That is hazing.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely forbidden.
Can I sue now, 30 years later?
Yeah, you'd have to ask your attorney that, I'm sure, given the right attorney.
Oh, man, thanks so much for coming in. I love the Boy Scouts. It did play a big, and I did say some negative things about it from my era, but we just basically attributed that to lazy scoutmastering, if that is even a word.
It is now.
It is now. But thank you, man. I mean, and you're one of the most
pleasure.
pleasant people I've ever met, and you've always been so cool to me. But I think if we can leave this interview with a positive note, and how can one become a scout? I think, you know, this is a program that needs to happen, whether you're a boy or girl, gay or straight, black or white, whatever the case may be, if you're human. And that's what I like to stress.
Exactly.
And looking to do some good in the world, especially the young kids out there, and the parents as well, who could send, you know.
Well, and you can either as an adult or a scout, it's real simple. You just go to www.bascout.org, bascout.org. That's the website. You go on there. If you're an adult interested in being a leader, you can find out more information and sign up. If you're a scout interested in joining either Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, Venture Crews, Explorers, whatever, you can do all of that through that website.
I think this is needed more than ever in this world, too, to keep scouting
Johnny,
alive.
it so much is.
Yeah.
It so much is. We need more scouting in this world, not less.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of world to discover, and that's what was the best thing about that, too.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for taking your time,
Johnny,
dude. Appreciate
thank
it
you.
so
this
much.
This is awesome. Thank you.
All right, the Scoutmaster coming in today. Sounds like a wrestler. Your opponent will be the Scoutmaster.
Look out.
Thanks so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you, Johnny.
All right, more people in your neighborhood coming up. Thank you to Jay Madison so much for stopping by. He is a hell of a good guy. Tell him I said so. This is the People in Your Neighborhood. This is the People in Your Neighborhood podcast. I talk for a living. How about them apples? Well, Salon 109, one of our sponsors here at People in Your Neighborhood. They're opening November 1st for business. Whether you need an updated haircut, cover up the gray hairs, or freshen up your highlights, they've got you covered. Guys, they aren't leaving you out. Stop by, get a fresh haircut and a beard trim. Salon 109 also offers facials and customize for your skin type. If you're tired of shaving, they offer a wide variety of waxing from your eyebrows down to the toes and everything in between. They're at 109 Water Street in Dexter, right next to Willie's. You call them up at 315-918-4050 for your appointment. Of course, walk-ins are welcome. Take a better selfie. See a stylist. Call Janet and Megan today, all right? That number, 315-918-4050. We continue on with the People in Your Neighborhood. Well, he's not in our neighborhood, but he was at one time near us in Oswego. Al Roker, interview we did earlier this week. Let's talk to Al. You call him Al.
Hi, Johnny.
Hey, Al. Thanks so much for calling us today. We're from Watertown, New York, a little ways away.
Oh, wow.
Ways from Oswego.
Yep.
So, of course, you know Oswego real well.
Oh, yeah.
Did you, when you were in college at Oswego, did you ever get a chance to make it up here?
I drove through, I think, on the way to Montreal.
You passed it by for just a blink of an eye. Now, what's the deal? Someone was telling me, I was telling somebody I was going to be interviewing you, and they said, ask him about a sub shop in Oswego. They have a sub named after you. Is that true?
Yes, the Oswego Sub Shop. You bet.
What's in the Al Roker sub?
Well, as you might imagine, there's plenty of ham.
Okay. Sorry to laugh so much. I apologize for
that. No, that's quite all right.
Thank you so much for talking to us today. You're talking about the Al Roker's Extreme Weather book for kids, which has been out since August. What made you decide to write a book for kids?
Yeah, I've never actually done a straight weather book. I've written a book about the great hurricane of 1900 in Galveston, and I've written about being a dad, and all, but I've never written a book about weather, strict weather. And before I started it, I was thinking, a couple of friends of mine are school teachers, and they said, you should do a kids book, because that's all kids ask us about. That's our most popular topic is weather. And I thought, you know what? She's probably right. So I figured if I can understand the explanations, then so can a fifth grader. And so we came up and kind of looked at the biggest, best weather phenomena, found amazing pictures to go with it, and I think came up with a pretty good book.
How did you make it not scary?
Well, I think once you explain things to kids, and adults really, once you explain it, while they should respect the natural forces, hopefully they don't fear them. They respect it, and out of respect, they treat it the way it should be treated.
Mm-hmm. And does this book cover, I hear, the title of the book is Tornadoes, Typhoons, and Other Weather Phenomena. A lot of that's been going on weather-related, of course, are the hurricanes. Do we touch on that?
Yeah, we talk about hurricanes. Actually, typhoon is a hurricane in the southern Pacific. It's the same thing, just different name. So we were just looking for the alliteration. But we talk about hurricanes. We talk about climate change. We talk about tornadoes. We talk about rainstorms, snowstorms, blizzards, all kinds of stuff.
No, in the book it says you talk about red sprites, and I don't know what that is. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it's very rare for anybody to get to see them because they usually happen in the upper atmosphere above tornadoes. I should say above thunderclouds, these huge towering cumulus clouds, and they happen at night, so that you get these odd shapes that look kind of like almost like little fireworks over the tops of the clouds, and they're generally red colored, and so they've been dubbed red sprites, but it's very rare to see them from the ground.
Do you talk about the things that affect the North Country area that we would get in Watertown and Oswego, the microbursts, the ice storms that have come to mind?
Well, we talk about ice storms. We'll talk about snowstorms, lake effect snow, fun stuff like that.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be seeing that real soon. Yay.
Oh, yes, before you know it.
Al, with your, the book dealing with the kids and Al Roker's Extreme Weather pertaining to kids, tell me about your childhood in a way and what got you wanting to be a weatherman.
Well, I didn't want to be growing up. I'm a normal kid. I didn't really have any more interest in weather than your average kid. Is it going to rain when we go to the beach, or is our field trip going to get canceled because of the bad weather? But it was when I was in college at SUNY Oswego, and I was a communications major, but I took a couple of classes in meteorology, and coincidentally, my department chairman, a guy named Lou O'Donnell, put me up for a job doing weekend weather at the end of my sophomore year, and that's kind of what got me started. But I had no interest in doing TV weather. In fact, that my college professor told me that I had the perfect face for radio.
Yeah, I still have that after 28 years, the perfect face for radio. Have there ever been, and I'm sure every weatherman deals with this, have there ever been people who wanting to call you up at home and like, can you do something about this weather, change it, or threaten you physically if you don't change this weather?
Well, not quite. I've never had anything of that. Yeah, but people do. Want to? Oh, hey, come on, really? What's it going to do? What's it going to be like next week? I don't know. I'm telling you what it's going to be like, but sometimes people don't want those answers. They don't want the answers you give.
Exactly. Of course, this book is available now at bookstores and Amazon.com. Al Roker's Extreme Weather, Tornadoes, Typhoons, and Other Weather Phenomena. What are you working on now? Just promoting this book, or do you have something on the back burner that we can expect soon?
We're promoting it now. We've also got a special on the Weather Channel called Weather Hacks, where we give people kind of timely information on staying safe and how to save money and ways to get through bad weather.
Al, because we are a radio station and we love music so much, what's on your playlist?
Elton John's Philadelphia Freedom. I've got a bunch of Bruno Mars, Four Tops, Ed Sheeran, The Weeknd, Portugal the Man.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
You bet.
I appreciate it. And we'll be looking for you on the Today Show, and we will check out your book, Al Roker's Extreme Weather, Tornadoes, Typhoons, and Other Weather Phenomena. Such a classy guy. Thank you so much, Al.
Thank you.
Al Roker calling us up. Is that cool or what? Now, hopefully we can get celebrities like that all the time. Not every week, but maybe every other week will be kind of cool. On our podcast, People in Your Neighborhood. Sat down with Quince this week, and he had a show coming up over the weekend. We sat and talked, and he played us a tune. He's an amazing rapper, fine gentleman. Let's get in and listen in on our interview with rapper Quince to wrap up the People in Your Neighborhood. I met you a couple weeks ago when we had our 9th birthday, and you were performing with Nick Santa Marina. Santa Marina. He's a hell of a good guy, too.
Oh, he's a great musician.
But you weren't on my show. I think you were on Pam's show, and I didn't get the... And you came right up to me and, like, introduced yourself. That stuck out. I'm like, this is a good guy. Yeah. This is a good guy.
That's just part of the business. You know what I mean?
It's so important to do.
Introduce yourself and see what other people are about, too, because you got here for a reason.
You look at somebody in the eye and you shake their hands, like, nice to meet you. You did that, and I'm like, I like this dude immediately. Yeah. And then immediately we became Facebook friends, and here you are today.
That's how it works.
I've been checking you out on the Facebook, and you got a lot of stuff going on. Can you talk about that?
I can. I will talk about it.
Please.
So of course, go by the middle name Quince, hold down upstate. Also with the band Out Chasing Lions. So we've been pushing for a while. Almost 2 months now. We've got a show this Saturday right at Maggie's on the River on the 3rd floor.
What is Hold Down Upstate? What is that?
Hold Down Upstate. Basically, it started off as an idea. Basically, it is a platform for local businesses and local artists to kind of join forces to broaden their reach as a whole, as a community. And it started with the original Out Chasing Lions, and of course.
And that is a group that you were in.
Yes, myself and Rob Malloy. And this had to be 2014 or something like that. And we were starting to get our foot in the door locally, and there wasn't a lot of hip hop at all around here at the time.
There really is. It starting to grow in this area?
Absolutely.
People, we always know Caleb Whiting, and now we know you. But tell me some other people who are involved in this.
In
the hip hop community,
the hip hop scene. Oh man, there are so many. So you mentioned Caleb already. Ill Theory, Fine Print Williams, Brody Tompkins Bell does really big things. And there's a young kid, Max Hammer, who's coming up in the scene too.
It's so cool that this music is starting to broaden, because it wasn't here for a while.
Here, absolutely.
And you're a part of that scene. So tell me about you, though. I mean, because honestly, I heard about you because you were on the Rusted Root show there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's about it. So tell me a little bit about you, where you're from, and how you got into the hip-hop game, please.
How I got into the hip-hop game, sure. So I moved to Watertown in 2012.
Okay.
And before I did that, I really wanted to focus more on music, but I was heavy into production at the time. I wasn't really writing. I certainly wasn't on the microphone. But it wasn't until I moved here, and just by...
Where'd you move from?
Ithaca, New York.
Okay, that's a nice area.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Love Ithaca.
Gorgeous, literally. And that's how I met all the guys over at the Gun Poets down
Okay.
in Ithaca. So I moved up here, and I met an individual by the name of Rob Malloy, who just so happens to be able to play every single instrument that's ever been created by man. And
Even the didgeridoo?
say it again.
The didgeridoo? That's an Australian thing.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. I wouldn't bet against him. That's all I know. Just don't bet against the dude. But he is the first one that gave me the opportunity to refocus my time and my efforts more so toward writing. Because as far as beats and things like that, I enjoyed it. I liked that energy, but I wanted something more immediate. And writing and poetry allowed me to do that. And really,
Can I ask how old you are?
Me, I'm 34.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Dude. I'm thinking what the hell you got going on there?
I'm a late bloomer in the game.
You look like you're 19.
Yeah, well,
what the heck are you got going on? Give me some of those, man.
I tried, man.
Get out of here. That's not right.
It's not my diet. I can tell you that, but I run a lot. Actually, all of my writing is done while I'm running. So I'm knocking out, a couple birds with one stone.
I got to start running.
got to.
I just run to the buffet, but man, I got to do something else.
Yeah, man. So
Time is
I've been
on your
around a
side,
minute.
man. This is
I
good.
hope so. It's all in the plan, man. It's all in the plan.
What are you going to be performing for us today?
So I'm actually going to be performing a joint called Timeless,
Okay.
which is actually one of my grandfather's pieces that he's a musician and conductor, and he's got a couple different bands. Something that I found and I looped up, and I just left it at that, and I started writing over that, and I did this while I was out in L.A. at the time.
Is your grandfather still around?
He is.
And he's heard this?
He just, and a quick cool story is that he did hear it, and when he heard it, he hit me back up. He's like, I don't know what you're saying, but it sounds great. It sounds great. And he said, hey, we should do something together sometime.
That would be awesome.
And that was it was awesome. So what happened was he just had his last, so he's got a band that plays in this small town called Smyrna, New York. And he's got his Red Ravels big band sounds. And he just had his last concert just this past summer. And I went out there, actually with Chris Levantia. He and I did a song called Here We Are. And then I performed with this orchestra behind me, a piece from the musical Hamilton called My Shot. And I don't know if you've ever looked it up before, but it's a Broadway play, and it's the
I've heard
first
of it, of
hip-hop
course.
Broadway play. And so this is how my grandfather thought to combine the two generations.
His
And he
style and your
melded
style.
So I'm rapping over a full orchestra behind me, and it was intense. It was intense for so many different reasons. I feel like I still haven't been able to wrap my mind around the actual moment that existed there. So.
Well, let's hear what you got going on here.
Sure.
If you can press play.
Absolutely.
And we have musical guest Quince in the studio. It's your tunes. Tunes 925-1045.
Grandpops, what up, man? Dreams of pushing the Lincoln under the city lights late at night, thinking how many wrongs till I make it right. Some days I feel like I can't take my own advice though. Work on my forgiveness, but yo, sometimes life don't. And that's real, used to, cause I couldn't feel it. So when I say I spit it dope, just know I'm trying to heal. But while we're here, here's a cheers. Got $1 to my name, about to start another year. Yo, what's left to fear? Ain't nothing but fear itself, and since it's all in the mind, don't mind if I help myself. The flow timeless, hold a promise, but still nothing given. I'm trying to get a couple commas, like a run-on sentence. My buttons done up with no tie clip. Grown man rhymes, hold a microphone with the hands I survived with. Plan to turn a profit from the future. Grandpops up on the horn. No, we started from the rose. Yeah. Yo, said I don't know about you, but I've been grinding homes. About to change the whole style, no designer on. Too much is never enough. I probably die alone, counting all this money, trying to justify why I'm gone. Silence the phone, keep my vibe strong. The conscious mind sees forever, ain't no time zone. I'm getting better every time my eyes open, cause yo, ain't nothing free, man, it ain't Oprah. I hold the mic like I'm supposed to. See, most would never guess, but yeah, I never been the type to do what most do. I'm never there, but always closer. As far as success goes, my only fear is getting older. Hey, yo, I'm over it. Drinking till I sober up. Caught in the moment for so long, feeling like you stuck. So careful what you ask, cause yo, it's all fate. Dreams are pushing the Lincoln while the horns play it. Yeah. So this one is probably one of my favorites all time. All time, man, it hits hard. And we just let it fade out on that jazzy stuff, man. That's just how we do it. So really, when I say timeless, man, it's bigger than me, man. It started way before me. And same thing with my grandfather. It's something that started before him. So I just want to keep pushing it forward and continue it on. So I'm just grateful, very grateful.
Well, thank you for Quince for playing for us, rapping for us. What a cool individual he is. Al Roker calling us up. Thank you, Al, and Jay Madison talking about the Boy Scout issues. That is today's episode, this week's episode of People in Your Neighborhood, a podcast recorded live here at the Tunes 92.5-104.5 studio. I'm Johnny Keegan. Next week, if things go well, Ryan Grant, my own buddy who does the morning drive here at Tunes, will be our musical guest, and Professional Wrestler is the name of the title for next week's podcast. Well, thanks again for tuning in to People in Your Neighborhood. Email me at johnnykeegan@yahoo.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook. But if you have a picture of a baby or a dog and no other pictures, I will not accept you. And chop me a little note with your friend request on how I know you. That would certainly help. This has been People in Your Neighborhood. Thanks for tuning in.